Hello, this is Kay Rudolph. This presentation provides step-by-step instructions on how to locate digital images of original records when the Family Search Index doesn't provide a thumbnail link to view that image. I have 4 examples that I'm going to want to show you of collections that have been indexed and provide you some information that will help you get the digital image of the original record. So here I am at James Madison's profile on the Family Search, and I'm going to click down to the sources that I have attached to his profile. I have these organized so that I can see at a glance what I have and what I'm missing. I have his censuses, 1870, 80, 90, 10, and 20. I don't have his birth record. Well, birth records in Alabama and Georgia were not being registered at that time. I have 3 items related to his marriage, and I'll talk about those later. And I have his death record. I want to start here. So we open up this link for the record that is attached related to his death. And I click the URL hot link. That opens this in a new tab. I can go back and see the page where I came from, and here is the page where that index is opened. So this is nice information, but do not stop with an index. An index is information that a researcher today has copied from a record. They may not be familiar with the names and places or the handwriting, and there may be errors in this transcribed information. You want to go and find the original record. To do that, we're going to go over here where it gives us information about the collection on which this index entry is based. So it is going to be the Florida deaths, 1877 to 1939. In particular, we're interested in this film number. This is the microfilm number. And we're going to highlight that, right-click, and copy. I'm also going to want to note this reference ID, Vol 361 CN 19325. That might be information that will help me locate the unique record that I'm looking for on this microfilm. All right, so I've copied the microfilm number. I'm going to go to my search catalog, and I'm going to right-click and open my catalog in a new tab. I like to do that so that I can go back to my earlier tabs to see how I got to that point. So I click on the catalog tab that I've just opened, open the microfilm fiche number, right-click, and paste. Do a search. And this is the collection for this microfilm. This microfilm is within the collection Florida Deaths, 1877 to 1939. Florida Death Certificates, 1877 to 1939. Notice that there are several items. Let's take a look at that. Again, I'm going to use my trick of right-clicking, opening in a new tab. So you can see here that there are actually quite a lot of microfilms in this collection. I want to quickly go to the particular one that I'm looking for. So I'm going to use Control F on my keyboard, which opens up my find box, Control V to paste that number that I just copied, and it takes me down to exactly where in this list that microfilm is. It appears twice, actually. So which one of these do I want? Well, remember that I had asked you to pay attention to that reference ID information. Volume 361 CN, I'm thinking might be certificate number 19325. Here we have death certificates V361. I assume that means volume 361. Certificate number 19,001 through 20,369. That 19,325 will come right in that group. So this is the version that I'm going to open. Right click and open, and what we are seeing here are thumbnails of the certificates that are microfilmed on this particular roll. As you can see, there's 3,000 images. You can look at an individual image by double-clicking on it. You can go back and use the grid format to view multiple images. You can zoom out, and this makes it very easy for you to locate where microfilm rolls begin or end. As you can see here, this roll has the first collection, volume 361, deaths 19,001, Hillsborough, December 1927. And we scroll through this, and you can see that section ends, and there is another microfilm roll that continues on in this section, and that would be the volume 362, deaths 19,501 for Pinellas. So in our case, we're going to look for the certificate number 19,325. We go and look at the first certificate here. It's 19,001. Well, we're looking for 19,325, so you might think the real easy thing to do is say, well, that's just 324 away from 19,001. So I'm going to go to 324 plus 2, 326. And you see that we're only at 19,294. That means that some of the images have duplicate copies. So it's not quite as simple as just doing the math and typing it in. We're going to have to do a little bouncing around. So 294, we want to go to 325. So that's, let's say, 40 above that. Let's go to 360. And we have 19,327. We're just going to bounce back once, bounce back again, and here we have James M. Barrow's certificate of death. Now what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to save this to our computer, and we're going to want to attach it to the family tree so that we'll be able to get to it quickly. You always want to save a record to your computer because you never know when that collection may disappear from access. It is possible that the state of Florida may decide at some later time to withdraw its permission for Family Search to post these records, and you don't want to be left without a record you've had access to. So once you've found the record that you're looking for, click on the link for download. I have my Google Chrome set so that it automatically asks me where I want to download an item. You can change your settings to do that by clicking on these three dots up here in the Google Chrome. If you're using a different browser, you're going to essentially do the same thing. Sometimes they use 3 lines to show you where the settings are. Frequently it's 3 dots. You click on that. Let me cancel here. You click on that and you go to Settings. It's going to open up the settings screen for Google Chrome. I'm going to search for download and scroll down here. This is the section where it allows me to require that Google stop and ask me where to save each file before downloading. If you do not have this checked to yes, then it's going to automatically save to your downloads folder with a file name that it assigns itself, and it's usually not a very helpful file name. So all you have to do is toggle that so it is highlighted in blue that yes, you want Google to ask you where to save each file before downloading, and then close. And then when you click on download, it's going to open up that dialog box asking you where you would like to save the folder. So you can see here the default name is not very useful to you. I am going to identify the folder that I want to save this in. I have a hierarchy that I use. Within my documents folder, I have family history, and within that I have the particular projects that I'm working on. Each project is identified. I can then move to that project. I have all of the different items that I've collected in separate folders. I have the families in their own separate folder. So I'm going to open this to the Barrow folder, and I am going to give this the title Barrow James M. Death 1927. I like to include the location as well to help me identify a record just by looking at the list of file names, especially in families where the same name is repeated several times. I also like to add a little code so that I know where I got this record from. For example, this is from the Family History Library. I'll put FHL and save that. When Google finishes downloading the file, it opens up this notice bar here at the bottom. This is where I'll have a list of all of the files that I have downloaded this internet session. If you click on this little up arrow here, it opens up the menu options. You can open the file that we just downloaded. You can set it to always open, which I would not suggest doing. You can view it in the folder using File Manager. Now I'd like to do that, and I'll explain why. So here we're looking at File Manager. If I right-click on this file that I have just created and open the properties, when you go to the Details tab, there is this option for a comment section. Now, let's go back to the index file where we first got this information. Now, there is a citation that Family Search has created for this record. I can just copy this and then use Alt-Tab to go back to the properties for that image that I've just saved, and I can paste that citation that I got from the Family Search website into the properties for that file and say OK. Now, why that is useful is this. By right-clicking here in the column headings, I can identify which column headings I want to have. And I have just added something to the comments section. So now you can see we have that information showing up in the file. So it's a way of adding the source citation to a particular image that you have downloaded to your computer. And I highly recommend doing that. If you give this image to somebody else, you mail that image to somebody else, they will always then have the citation information for it in the properties section. All they have to do is right-click on it, open the properties, go to the details, and there is the citation. You open the file, you see the image that you had on the Family Search website. We can right-click on this to open the properties, and here in the Details tab we have the citation. If you're not satisfied with the citation that's produced by Family Search, this is editable. You can go in and revise it. You can actually type anything that you would like to type at all. And it is quite a large comment area that you have available to use. The next thing that I want to do is I want to attach this record here to the family tree. That is, I want to attach a link to the family tree, to the profile for James M. Barrow, so that it will appear on his list of sources and I'll be able to get to it very quickly. I do that by clicking on the blue button, Attach to Family Tree. For the source title, I'm going to edit this, giving his name, James M. Barrow in Florida Death Certificates. The name of the collection, 1877 to 1939. I'm going to delete the other automatic information that's included. For the notes, I'm going to copy the information from the index screen. So I will highlight this, Control C to copy, Control V paste. I have check marked that I want this added to the source box. I'll explain that later. We next go to Select Person. I'm going to need James's number. I go to his profile page and copy his number. If this is an individual you've been looking at recently, you'll see him on the list of recent profiles, or you can paste a number and it will find that individual for you. You then can go in and select the spouse, parents, and children that might also appear on the record so that it will attach at this one time this record to all the individuals that are named in it. So I'll see his wife is named in it and his parents are named. So I'll scroll down and I also notice that the informant is Jim Barrow, that's his son. So I'm going to include that as well. And we go next. Here is where you can provide information about why you believe this source is a match. When it's straightforward and obvious like this, frankly, I don't fill that in. Click Attach, and the source is now attached to James's profile. If we go take a look at James's profile, move to the top here, you see that we had 14 sources for him. I'm going to refresh the screen, and now it shows that we have 15 sources. When you click on the Sources button, it takes us down, and here is that source that we just created at the top of the list. So I'm going to take this, drag it down into its proper location. All right, so now I have the index entry that we saw. I also have this link to the image, plus I have the information that I copied from the index so I can see that quickly and easily. If you click on this link, it will take you directly to that image that we were just looking at. That's the ideal situation. Let's look at an example that is a little bit more complicated. So here we are looking at James and scrolling down to look at the records we've got. I want to draw your attention to this entry, James Barrow, in entry for Barrow, Alabama births and christenings. When we click on that, it says that this is an extracted IGI record. Well, let's see what they have provided us. I click the link, it opens it up in a new tab for us, and we have an indexed record. Again, this has been transcribed, copied from the original record, and we need to look at the original record. So again, we're going to look over here at what information we have. We're going to look for the Alabama births and christenings collection. Our record for this Barrow child, who was born on the 27th February of 1882, is on the film number 1631609. So I am going to copy that number. I am going to go to the catalog, open that in a separate window, paste the number that I've just copied, and search. Let's open this collection up in a separate tab and see what we have here. Again, I have a lot of items. I'm going to use the Control Find, Control F to find, Control V to paste, and that takes me down to 3 possible choices. Is there any information that I can find here that will help me choose which of these 3 choices I want? Looking at the index, we have an indexing batch number of -3. We have a birth date of February 1882. Let's see if one of those will help us. We have Register of Births and Deaths, 1881 to 1894. Register of Births and Deaths, 95. So it's clearly this section up here. I'm going to click on the camera icon and open that in a new tab. And I have my collection here. I am looking at the thumbnails for item 1 in this section. Item 1 is the Register of Births and Deaths, 1881 to 1888. The first thing I need to do is I need to see how this is organized. Is it chronological, alphabetical? Because as you'll recall, I don't have a reference ID or a certificate number. So looking here at the first page in the book, I can see that we've got 1881, July. These appear to be in chronological order. All right, I am looking for 1882, February. So I'm going to try jumping around. Let me try jumping to image 20. Image 20 is 1881, August, September. So that would suggest that I continue forward. I go to the next image, and we have 1882, February 27th. That matches the date that I'm looking for here, but this is not the family that I'm looking for. Now notice this statement up here. See page 24 for other April dates. Exploring this collection a little bit, I realized that it is not necessarily entirely in chronological order. If I jump back to image 6, which was the first page in the book, that starts in July of 1881, and we thumb through, I might try jumping through a couple of pages at a time. Now I'm already in January of 1882. Let's move up another page forward. And here I have February of 1882, the register of births. I'm looking for February 27th. And it is the last item on the page. So what we had seen in that earlier image, image 21, this was an overflow page. So you want to keep that in mind, that sometimes if they run out of space in the book, they're going to continue a particular date several pages later. So we have the record that we're looking for here for Barrow and James Barrow of Alabama. We're going to do the same process. We'll download the image, and once the image has downloaded, then I'm going to open this in the folder, right-click the properties, and I want to add additional information here to the comments. Now I don't have a citation as I did with the previous film that we worked with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this page where I opened it, and I am going to copy this information here, highlight, copy, go back, and paste it here. Register of births and deaths, family history library. So it's giving me the information about where I got it from. I can even add in that it is image 15. And click OK. I do want to attach this to the family tree. I'm going to put in Barrow in births and deaths. That's not enough information. I'm going to put Barrow 1882 in births and deaths. Delete the rest of the information. I don't have an index information to add here. I'll go and select the next person. I'm going to choose Madison, James Madison Barrow, and I'm going to choose his child and attach it. The source has been successfully attached to those two people. Now, when we go back to his page and we do the refresh, there we have the record that we just created. We have the link, and we're able to open and view it. Now, my third example highlights why family history centers are so important to us. So here we have Helen Simon's profile. We look at her lists. I have one record, Louisiana deaths, standard index. However, I have this note. This image is available when using the site at a family history center. If you click on the URL link, it's going to give us the index page, but no link to the image. If you copy the catalog file number and open the catalog and attempt to view the file, you're going to see that the icons have a little key on them, and that means that it is locked for view. If you try to open it up on your computer at home, you're going to get a bunch of blank images. That's why it's so very important to always download any image of a record to your computer so that you will always have access to that image. In the event that for some reason Family Search is not making these collections accessible. In the past, states have changed their policies, and so collections that had been available were no longer available. So I cannot emphasize enough, make sure that you get these documents downloaded and saved to your computer. And that brings up one other step that I would like you to take every time you download an image at a family history center. We're going to use the Barrow birth record just downloaded as an example. We're going to go to the Memories tab for James Madison Barrow. We're going to upload that birth record that we saved to the computer. This is what you would do when you're working at the Family History Center and you are downloading records that do not have permission to be viewed on home computers. You'll save that to your computer at the Family History Center, and then you're going to upload that image to the profiles of the individuals involved by going to the Memories tab and selecting the Documents option. Upload document, select the file, and upload it. Once the file has finished uploading, it will show up here with the screening bar. The red circle with the exclamation point means that you need to do some editing to attach it to the tree. So we're going to click on it. We're going to give it the title, Barrow 1882 Birth Registry. Save. Now, click the image to tag people. Because we uploaded this as a document, when we click on an image, we're going to get a square that we can adjust around the name of the person. Let's take a close-up and see. Here's that record. So here's James Barrow's name, and here is the infant's reference. So I'm going to click, adjust, and put that there to show this is where James's name is. I want to add a spot for the infant Barrow. So I move that where I want it to locate, start typing in the name, and it's going to try and find that individual. If it doesn't find the individual, say add new, and now we can go in and attach it to the family tree. I'm going to need to get his ID number off the tree, so I Alt-Tab to where I have the family open, copy his number, Alt-Tab back, and enter it and select it. go ahead and tell it to attach. So let's see what we have now. If we go back to James's profile, this is being screened. That bar will disappear once the family history organization has determined that this is not inappropriate material. There is one other thing that I would like to do with this. You'll notice that it's showing up in our memories. We now have 3 photographs and 2 documents. But when we look at the details, we might overlook that birth record because it's not in our source list. I frequently forget to go back to check this Memories tab. So what I'm going to want to do, and this is the tip that Miriam gave me, let's open this item here, and I am going to use RecordSeek to create a link to this page and add it to my source list for James Madison and for the infant Barrow. Now, if you have not used RecordSeek, it's a great tool and it's very simple to add it to your internet browser. So let's go over to Google and do a search for RecordSeek. Click on that link. Now, they've made it a little hard for you to read the instructions here, but it's very simple. All you have to do, one time only, is drag the RecordSeek button above to your browser's bookmark bar. That is, you click and drag that button up until you find the location on your bookmark bar where you want to put it. And you release, and it shows up on your bar. I have actually edited mine so that it is just the letters RS for RecordSeek. That way I'm able to stuff a whole lot more buttons onto my bar. It will be there, and anytime you need to attach a link to the source list on Family Search or on Ancestry, that button will be there. So let's see how we use that. So this is the page that we want to attach to the source list for James Madison Barrow. I click on that RecordSeek icon. It opens up the attachment dialog box. You select which service you want to attach to. We're going to create a link to Family Search. I'm going to edit the source title. Go to Next. I'll need to add in James's number. So I copy his number and then paste. I can give a reason to attach and then say attach. I want to attach it to the infant as well. So I'm going to go back and get the infant's number, copy that, and paste. Next, I can provide the reason to attach and click and attach. So now, when we go to James's profile, you see we have 17 sources. Let's go down to the source list. You'll notice that we have this icon now with the World Web icon. That means that what we have here is a link to a web page. So if I click on that and then click on this link, it takes the user directly to that page that we created in his Memories tab. And so now I can put this record here where it belongs. And so when I am reviewing the sources that I have, I won't forget about it. Now, in this case here, it wasn't a critical problem because I have this link here that I can click and view from home. But in Helen's case, I didn't have that option. So it's particularly important in those records that you do not have access to except at the Family History Center to be sure to upload those into the Memories tab here at the top, and then to create a link using RecordSeek to that page so that it will show up in the sources list. And anybody who is researching this individual will be able to see that this record exists and be able to examine it. I am going to have to go to the Family History Center to look for this record for Helen Jones. So I'm going to create a to-do list. In Microsoft Word is one option. And in that case, I simply copy and paste the identifying information into my Word document, and then I can print that out and carry it with me when I go to the Family History Center this Saturday. Or I can put it into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, noting the name of the person, the date of the event, the place of the event, the name of the collection, the film number, image number, and sometimes they might have a reference ID number. Now, the fourth example that I want to show you, and hopefully this will become a less relevant example over time, is exemplified by these three sources from Alabama marriages. When we click on each of those, we open up the page, we see the index, and we see a film number. We'll copy that film number, we'll paste it into the catalog, and search. And unfortunately, we'll find that there are no camera icons. This item is not yet available, digitized and online. It has been indexed, that's what the magnifying glass indicates, but it is only available on microfilm. Now, in the old days, I would have ordered this and had it delivered to my Family History Center, but they have discontinued that microfilm service so that they can focus their time and resources on getting these microfilms digitized and put online. And I'm fine with that. But I'm going to want to come back and check this periodically to see if it has been digitized and put online. You notice that we had three items here. Let's take a look at those. This is the first item. Notice the number of the microfilm is 1,289,647. The second item is the same microfilm number. Different indexing project. The third number is the same microfilm, different indexing project, but it does have additional information. It has a reference ID number. So that is an argument for definitely going to the trouble of adding every single index entry to your source list, because one of them may have information not contained in the others. The next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to add this to my to-do list. So I'm going to copy his name. It's misspelled by the indexers. Paste it here. and I'm going to correct that spelling. The date, the place, the name of the collection, the film number, and in this case I have a reference ID. I'm going to put here under image, not digitized, as of and today's date, 11/29/17. So when I want to review my to-do list, I can come in and I can sort this list by image number, and set it to sort so that my not digitized items will show up at the top. I can then go through and check to see if there are any items that I should be reviewing to see whether they have been digitized and put online. That completes the topics that I wanted to cover with you today. If there are any other topics that you would like me to cover in a future video, please leave me a note in the comments section. Thank you.